The door swung open, and there she was. Jessica, my wife, wrapped in a cheap motel bedsheet, tangled hair falling over bare shoulders. And behind her, him. A man I didn't recognize, standing half-dressed with that lazy, satisfied smirk. My vision blurred, blood pounded in my ears. She froze when she saw me, but only for a second. Then she laughed. Laughed. Like this was some kind of joke. "Oh," she said, tightening the sheet around her like she had an ounce of decency left. "Guess the secret's out." My hands clenched around my phone, still recording. Proof. Evidence. Fuel for the fire that was about to consume everything. I took a step closer. "So, how long?" My voice was too calm. Too steady. She rolled her eyes. "Does it matter?" That's when I knew. Knew this wasn't a mistake. Wasn't some drunken lapse in judgment. This was who she was. And I wasn't walking away without making sure she paid for it. The motel parking lot was dead silent except for the buzzing neon sign above us. My hands felt numb, fingers still locked around my phone, recording every second. Jessica didn't even flinch. No panic, no shame, just that smug, infuriating smirk like she was in control of this situation. Like she could talk her way out of this. I took a slow step forward. "How long?" She sighed, rolling her eyes as if I had just asked something so inconvenient. "I don't know. A few months?" "A few months." My jaw tightened. My whole body did. The betrayal didn't just sting, it burned. My wife, the woman I built a life with, had been sneaking around for months, and now, caught red-handed, she acted like I was the one being unreasonable. The guy behind her, tall, built like a gym rat with one of those punchable faces, finally decided to speak. "Hey man, maybe we should." I cut him off with a glare so sharp it could have gutted him. "Shut your mouth." He did. Smart. Jessica, on the other hand, just huffed. "Oh, come on, Adam. Are we really doing this here? You're making a scene." "I'm making a scene?" I let out a dry, humorless laugh. This was unreal. You're standing half-naked in a motel doorway, and I'm the problem? I gestured at her, at him. "This is what you do behind my back? This is why you've been working late?" She shrugged. Shrugged. "Well, I wouldn't have to if you weren't sore." She stopped herself, but I caught it. I took another step, closing the space between us. "If I wasn't so what, Jessica?" She crossed her arms, lifting her chin. "So predictable." The words hit like a punch to the gut. Predictable. My voice came out low, dangerous. She waved a hand dismissively. "You come home at the same time every night. You order the same damn food. You tell the same boring stories. You act like life is just routine, and honestly." She laughed under her breath, shaking her head. I got bored. Something inside me snapped. I turned away for a split second, dragging a hand down my face, trying to contain the storm of emotions ripping through me. Anger, disgust, heartbreak, but most of all, clarity. This woman, the one I thought I knew, wasn't mine anymore. Maybe she never was. I turned back, my voice steady, ice cold. "Then let's make life a little less predictable." And with that, I lifted my phone higher, made sure her face was clear in the shot, and pressed one simple button. Live stream. Jessica's smirk faltered. "Wait, what the hell are you doing?" I tilted my head. "Oh, but I thought we weren't making a scene?" Her face drained of color. The arrogant, untouchable act shattered in an instant. "Adam, turn it off." The comment section was already blowing up. "Damn, caught in 4K. Yo, his wife is trash. Expose her, bro." Jessica lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. "Ah, you wanted excitement, didn't you?" I gestured to the screen. "Well, congratulations. You're the main event now." The gym rat had the nerve to step forward, reaching out like he was about to snatch my phone. "Dude, stop this." My fist met his face before he could blink. The sickening crack of his nose breaking sent him stumbling back, clutching his face as blood streamed between his fingers. He groaned in pain. "What the hell, man?" Jessica shrieked. "Are you insane?" I ignored them both. I was done talking. I turned off the live stream, knowing full well the damage was already done. People had seen it. Screenshots, screen recordings, Jessica's little secret was out in the wild, and there was no taking it back. I exhaled slowly, shoving my phone back into my pocket. "I'm done, Jessica." She blinked. "What?" I shook my head. "I'm not yelling. I'm not crying. I'm not begging for an explanation. I'm just done." For the first time that night, real fear flashed in her eyes. "Adam, wait, we can talk about." I turned on my heel and walked away. The last thing I heard before I got into my car was her voice, shaky, desperate. Adam, don't you dare walk away from me. I slammed the door shut. For the first time in months, I felt free. I didn't go home right away. The adrenaline still pumped through my veins, my hands still clenched from that punch. The image of Jessica standing there, stunned, rattled through my mind like a broken record. She thought she had control, thought she could manipulate, gaslight, twist the situation in her favor like she always did. Not this time. I pulled into an empty parking lot and let out a slow breath, watching the live stream replay in my head. The second that live icon lit up, I had sealed her fate. Social media had already chewed her up, spat her out, and was probably still devouring her whole. My phone buzzed. First, a text from Jessica. Call me. Now. Then another. Adam, what the hell were you thinking? You just ruined my life. Ruined her life? I let out a humorless laugh. The audacity. Then came a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring out. Another. And another. Finally, I picked up. A deep, furious voice shot through the line. You son of a... Click. Blocked. Jessica's side piece thought he could intimidate me? After I shattered his nose? Not worth my time. I leaned back in my seat, staring up at the night sky, my heart finally slowing to a steady rhythm. The weight of everything settled in. The betrayal. The public humiliation for her. The end of a marriage I once thought was unbreakable. And then, the cold realization. I had exposed her, humiliated her, but it wasn't over. There were loose ends. The house. The money. The divorce. A headache crept in. I didn't regret what I did, but I knew Jessica wasn't the type to go down quietly. My phone buzzed again. Another text. You think this is funny? You think you won? Watch what happens next. I stared at the message, my jaw tightening. Jessica wasn't just mad. She was plotting. And that's when I knew this war wasn't over. I didn't sleep much. By the time the sun crept through the blinds, my inbox was flooded. Friends, family, coworkers, all blowing up my phone. Some were shocked. Some were angry. Some just wanted the drama. And then there was Jessica. Jessica, 10 missed calls. Jessica, you've got no idea what you've done. Jessica, you need to fix this. Now. Jessica, pick up the damn phone. Fix? There was no fixing this. I was about to toss my phone aside when an email caught my eye. From Divorce Attorney, Richard Caldwell. Subject, Urgent inquiry regarding your case. My stomach clenched. I hadn't even contacted a lawyer yet. How the hell, eh? And then I saw the timestamp. Sent at 3:47 a.m. Jessica had beaten me to it. Of course she had. I opened the email. Mr. Carter, your wife has reached out regarding an urgent legal matter. Given the circumstances, we strongly advise securing your own representation immediately. Please let us know how you wish to proceed. I stared at the words, letting them sink in. She wasn't just trying to do damage control. She was coming for everything. I grabbed my keys, my heart pounding. If Jessica wanted a war, she was about to get one. I didn't waste time. Jessica had already made her move, which meant I had to hit harder, faster. I pulled up the number of the best divorce attorney I could find and dialed. A receptionist answered. Harrison and Moore Law Firm. How can I assist you? I need to speak with someone about a divorce, I said, gripping the steering wheel. Urgently. The line clicked, then a calm, controlled voice came through. This is Mark Harrison. I assume, given the urgency, you need immediate representation? Yeah, I exhaled. My wife's cheating. I caught her last night. I have video proof. But she's already contacted a lawyer. I need to move fast. He hummed thoughtfully. If she's already contacted representation, she's likely trying to seize control of the narrative. We need to get ahead of this. Are there assets? Property. I ran a hand through my hair. We own a house. Joint bank accounts, but I make more. No kids. That's good, he said. It simplifies things. However, if she's playing dirty, expect her to drag this out. Do you have access to all financial records? I can get them. Do it today, he instructed. Before she starts siphoning funds or changing passwords. I'll draft the initial papers. We're filing first. Filing first. That meant I'd be the one dictating the terms, not her. I nodded to myself. Do it. As soon as I hung up, I checked my bank app. So far, nothing unusual. But I knew Jessica well enough. If she was desperate, she'd do something reckless. And I was right. A notification popped up. $5,000 transferred to an external account. I swore under my breath and immediately called the bank. After a long, frustrating wait, I finally got someone on the line. That transaction was just made, I said. I need to dispute it. The rep hesitated. Sir, was this transaction made from a joint account? Yes. Unfortunately, since both parties have access, we can't reverse it without legal intervention. I clenched my jaw. So you're telling me my wife can drain our account, and there's nothing I can do? Unless there's fraud involved, both account holders have equal rights to the funds. Jessica was moving fast, trying to take as much as she could before I locked her out. I hung up and immediately transferred every single remaining dollar into a new account under my name only. A minute later, denied transaction alert. Jessica had just tried to take more money. I smirked. Too late, sweetheart. By noon, I was standing in our living room when I heard the front door slam open. Jessica stormed in, eyes blazing. You locked me out of the bank account? I folded my arms. You stole $5,000. Consider this my countermeasure. She let out a humorless laugh, shaking her head. You're such a child, Adam. Do you really think this is going to end well for you? I leaned against the couch, calm. You sound nervous. Didn't expect me to fight back? Jessica's nostrils flared. You humiliated me. Do you know what people are saying about me? My family saw that video. My boss saw it. That's not my problem. She stepped closer, her voice dropping. You think you're untouchable? I spoke to my lawyer. I can go after the house. Spousal support. I can make your life miserable. I didn't flinch. You can try. Her expression wavered for a fraction of a second. She wasn't used to me pushing back. She tried again. You don't have proof I stole that money. I pulled out my phone and showed her the notification screenshot. Her jaw clenched. You set me up. I tilted my head. No, Jessica. You did this to yourself. She glared at me for a long moment, then let out a slow breath. And then as she smirked, that same, infuriating, manipulative smirk. You're so naive, she murmured. You really think this is just about money? Something in her tone sent a chill down my spine. She pulled out her phone, tapped the screen, and turned it toward me. A picture. Me. Drunk at a work event 6 months ago. Passed out on a couch with some random woman sitting next to me. Jessica tilted her head. This looks bad, doesn't it? Almost like you cheated first. My stomach turned. That's bold. She cut me off. Doesn't matter if it's true. Just matters what people believe. I stared at her, realizing exactly what she was doing. She wasn't just playing dirty, she was rewriting history. And if I didn't stop her, she was going to burn my entire life down with her. Jessica stood in front of me, holding up her phone with that smug, self-satisfied expression I had grown to despise. The image on the screen, a blurry, poorly lit photo of me, slumped on a couch at a work event, a random woman sitting too close for comfort, wasn't proof of anything. But Jessica didn't need proof. She just needed a story. You really think anyone's going to believe that? I scoffed, forcing a smirk I didn't feel. Jessica tilted her head, feigning sympathy. It's not about belief, Adam. It's about perception. If I tell people you cheated first, if I make them doubt you, what do you think happens? My jaw tightened. That's pathetic, even for you. She shrugged. Says the guy who just drained our bank account like some scorned little boy. I had expected anger, maybe even tears, but this was cold, calculated. Jessica wasn't acting like someone who had just been caught in the worst betrayal of our marriage. She was acting like someone playing a game, and she was already thinking 3 steps ahead. She tapped a few buttons on her phone. Just send it to my lawyer. Let's see how fast he can turn this into something useful. I clenched my fists, but I forced myself to stay calm. That was what she wanted, for me to explode, to react emotionally, to make a mistake. Instead, I exhaled slowly, keeping my voice level. You think a blurry photo is going to erase what you did? I have a video, Jessica. A live-streamed, crystal-clear video of you in bed with another man. You think your lawyer's going to spin that? She faltered, just for a second. But then the smirk returned. People forget. Give it a month, and they'll move on. But me? I'll still be in your life. In this house. Taking half of everything you own. I almost laughed. She actually believed that. Jessica had always been good at controlling situations, at twisting things until she got what she wanted. But this time, she was dealing with something she couldn't control me. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. You're not getting the house. She arched an eyebrow. Says who? My lawyer, I said. You filed first, but I still have the upper hand. Adultery clauses, bank statements, property ownership records. Your little stunt last night just made sure you get nothing. Jessica's eyes flickered. She was trying to stay composed, but I saw the tiny crack in her confidence. She turned away, pretending to check her phone, as if she had somewhere more important to be. You really want to drag this out, huh? Fine. We'll see who comes out on top. And then, just like that, she grabbed her purse and walked out the door, slamming it behind her. I let out a long breath, feeling the weight of the past 24 hours settle onto my shoulders. I had won the first battle. But the war? That was just beginning. The house felt different after she left. Empty, but not in the way I had hoped. The air was thick with the remnants of what used to be our life, her perfume still lingering in the hallways, her makeup scattered across the bathroom counter, her clothes spilling out of the closet like she had never expected to leave. I grabbed a duffel bag and started throwing her things into it. Clothes, shoes, that stupid overpriced skincare routine she swore by. Anything that belonged to her gone. Halfway through, I found an old picture frame buried in the back of the closet. Our wedding photo. I stared at it for a long time. I remembered that day so clearly. The way she smiled, the way she held my hand like she actually meant all those vows she had whispered in front of our friends and family. It was all a lie. I gritted my teeth and chucked the frame straight into the trash. The glass shattered, a sharp, satisfying sound. This wasn't grief anymore. This was war. And I was going to make damn sure I came out on top. It didn't take long for Jessica to start playing dirty. That same evening, I got a call from an unknown number. I hesitated before answering, already expecting trouble. Mr. Carter? The voice was calm, professional. This is Detective Warren with the local PD. We received a report that you've been making threats against your wife. Would you be willing to come in for a conversation? I nearly dropped my phone. Jessica had actually called the police on me. I let out a slow breath, keeping my voice steady. Threats? What exactly did she say? She claims you've been harassing her, that you've made violent statements. It took everything in me not to laugh. Jessica wasn't just trying to ruin my reputation, she was trying to paint me as a danger. I clenched my jaw. With all due respect, officer, my wife was caught cheating on me yesterday. I have a video that proves it. If anything, she's the one who should be worried about consequences. The detective hesitated. Video? Yes, I said firmly. A public, live-streamed video. I can send you the link. There was a pause. All right, send it over. But I still need you to come down to the station. I exhaled sharply. Jessica had already started trying to weaponize the system against me. Fine. Let her try. I was done playing fair. The police station smelled like stale coffee and cheap disinfectant. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I sat in a cold metal chair, arms crossed, jaw tight. Across from me, Detective Warren scrolled through his phone, watching the video I had sent him, the same video that had blown Jessica's perfect little lie to pieces. He let out a slow breath and set the phone down. Well, he said, rubbing his temples, this is something. I leaned forward. So, do I still look like the threat here? He gave me a look that wasn't quite apologetic but close. Look, I had to call you in. When a spouse claims harassment or threats, we have to take it seriously. I clenched my fists under the table. And what happens now? Well, he said carefully, her claims don't hold much weight considering you haven't contacted her since she left. And this. He tapped the phone screen. This paints a pretty clear picture of who the real problem is. I exhaled slowly. So I can go? He nodded. But a word of advice, watch your back. Women like your wife? They don't take losing well. No kidding. By the time I walked out of the station, the sun had set, casting long shadows across the parking lot. I sat in my car for a moment, gripping the steering wheel. Jessica had already played her first dirty trick. She wouldn't stop there. And I wasn't about to wait for her next move. By the time I got home, I already had a plan. Step 1, secure everything. I changed every password, locked down my credit cards, and made sure there wasn't a single thing left that Jessica could use against me. Step 2, expose her. If she wanted to lie, I was going to make sure the truth drowned her out. I went straight to my laptop and opened my social media. The video of her betrayal had already been shared thousands of times. The comments were brutal. She really thought she wouldn't get caught? LMAO. Bro dodged a bullet. She belongs to the streets. Imagine being this bold about cheating and then crying when you get exposed. Jessica's reputation was already crumbling, but I wanted to make sure there was no coming back from this. I wrote a simple post. They say you never really know someone until they betray you. Well, now I know. I attached a screenshot of Jessica's lawyer email, the one where they tried to demand money, the house, everything. Then I hit post. The response was instant. My phone blew up with notifications, messages, shares. People I hadn't spoken to in years were reaching out, some offering support, others just there for the drama. And then, an unknown number flashed across my screen. I hesitated, then answered. A low, furious voice crackled through the line. You're ruining my life, Adam. Jessica. I leaned back, smirking. You did that all on your own. She sucked in a sharp breath. You think this is funny? Do you know how many calls I've gotten today? My job, my family. Oh, so now you care about what people think? I cut her off. Funny, you didn't seem too concerned about that when you were busy climbing on top of your little boyfriend. Silence. Then, in a voice dripping with venom, she hissed, I will destroy you for this. I laughed, cold and sharp. Jessica, you've already lost. The difference between us? I didn't have to lie. She hung up, and for the first time in days, I felt a real sense of satisfaction. I should have known she wasn't done. The next morning, a loud pounding on my front door jolted me awake. Groggy and annoyed, I stumbled out of bed and yanked the door open. And there she was. Jessica stood on my porch, eyes red, hair a mess, her expression shifting between fury and desperation. She wasn't alone. Behind her, a man I didn't recognize, tall, broad, suited up, stood with a smug, knowing smirk. Her lawyer. Jessica stepped forward, voice sharp. You need to take that post down. Now. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, you mean the one where I told the truth? Her lawyer cleared his throat. Mr. Carter, my client is prepared to pursue legal action for defamation. I laughed. Actually laughed. Defamation? Are you kidding me? I have a video, you idiot. Jessica's eyes burned with hatred. You're making this worse for yourself. I folded my arms. Good. Now get off my porch. Her lawyer tried again. If this continues, we'll have no choice but to... I cut him off with a sharp grin. You know what? Sue me. Go ahead. Let's take this to court. Because the moment we do, every single person who hasn't seen that video yet, they'll see it then. Jessica's jaw tightened. She knew I was right. She had no case, no way to spin this. The truth was out, and the more she fought it, the worse it got for her. For the first time since this nightmare started, she looked truly defeated. I stepped back into my house and shut the door in her face. Through the window, I watched as she stood there, trembling with rage, her lawyer whispering something to her. Then, without another word, she turned and stormed away. I exhaled slowly. The war wasn't over yet. But I had won this battle. And I wasn't going to stop until I took everything back. The slam of the door echoed through the house, but I didn't move. I stood there, gripping the doorknob, my pulse steady for the first time in weeks. Jessica had shown her hand. She had tried everything, lies, manipulation, even dragging a lawyer onto my porch to intimidate me. But now, she was out of moves. I turned away from the door and walked back into the kitchen, where my phone buzzed nonstop. The internet had done its job. Every hour, new people were sharing my story. Jessica had wanted to play dirty, but she had underestimated one thing. When the truth is ugly enough, you don't have to do anything but let people see it. And now the whole world was watching. That night, I got a call from my lawyer, Daniel, a no-nonsense guy with a voice like gravel and the patience of a saint. She's trying to backpedal, he said the moment I answered. I raised an eyebrow. Already? Yeah. I got an email from her attorney about an amicable settlement. I laughed, shaking my head. Amicable? After she tried to take me for everything? Daniel chuckled. Looks like someone realized she's losing. Now she just wants to cut her losses. I sat down, rubbing my jaw. What's the offer? She's willing to forfeit any claim to your assets if you take down the video and stop talking about her publicly. My grip on the phone tightened. So now she suddenly cares about privacy? Daniel sighed. Look, Adam, legally speaking, you've got her in a chokehold. But if you want to be done with this mess, this is a clean way out. I exhaled slowly. I had fought so hard to expose her, to show the world who she really was. But did I really want to drag this out forever? I glanced at the laptop screen, where Jessica's face was still plastered across every corner of social media. No deal, I said. Daniel was silent for a moment. You sure? Yeah. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. She doesn't get to walk away without consequences. Daniel let out a low whistle. All right. Then let's prepare for the long game. The next morning, I was sipping coffee on my back porch when I got a text from an unknown number. Unknown? You think you've won? Watch your back. I smirked. Of course, she wasn't going to take this quietly. I tapped out a reply. Me, you should take your own advice, Jess. Minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a call from a friend I hadn't heard from in months, Mike, an old college buddy who still kept up with everyone. "Dude," he said the moment I answered, "you need to check your email." Something in his voice made me sit up straighter. "What's going on?" "I just forwarded you something." "It's bad, man." I opened my laptop, refreshed my inbox, and there it was, an anonymous tip, sent straight to me. With shaking fingers, I clicked on the attachment, and what I saw made my blood run cold. The video wasn't of me. It was of her. Jessica, sitting in a dimly lit bar, leaning way too close to a man I didn't recognize. At first, it seemed harmless, until the camera angle shifted, and I saw her slip something into his drink. My stomach turned. What the hell had she done? The footage was grainy but damning. She had drugged someone. And then, another email came through. This one with a caption. "Still think she deserves a clean break?" Whoever had sent this wanted me to see it, to use it. I took a deep breath, staring at the screen. Jessica had already destroyed her own reputation. But this could destroy her life. I had two choices: walk away now, let her crawl back into whatever hole she came from, or push the final domino. I picked up my phone and dialed. "Detective Warren," a familiar voice answered. I swallowed hard. "I think you're going to want to see this." An hour later, I was back at the police station, sitting across from Warren. He watched the video in silence, his expression unreadable. When it ended, he set the phone down and sighed. "Where did you get this?" I hesitated. "An anonymous tip." His eyes narrowed. "And you're just now bringing it in?" I exhaled. "Look, I didn't know about any of this. But if she's out there drugging people, then she's got more than a cheating scandal to worry about." He leaned back in his chair. "This is serious, Adam. If we verify this, she could be looking at jail time." I nodded. "Do what you have to do." Warren studied me for a long moment. "You sure about this? Once we open this door, there's no closing it." I met his gaze. "She never gave me mercy. I don't see why she should get any now." That night, the news broke. Local woman under investigation for alleged drink tampering. The article didn't mention her name, not yet, but people were already putting the pieces together. And when her name finally did hit the headlines, Jessica Carter went from that cheating wife to a full-blown criminal suspect overnight. And just like that, she was done. Her lawyer dropped her. Her job suspended her. Her so-called friends stopped returning her calls. She had spent so much time trying to tear me down, trying to make me the villain in her story. But in the end, she destroyed herself. A week later, I stood outside, watching the sunrise. For the first time in a long time, the air felt lighter. The storm had passed. My phone vibrated. A message from Daniel. "Daniel, she's trying to settle again. Wants to make amends." I stared at the screen for a long moment before typing back. "Me, tell her she should focus on her legal problems. I'm done." And I was. Jessica had made her bed. Now she had to lie in it. The morning after Jessica's name hit the headlines, I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating nonstop. Missed calls, text messages, emails, everyone wanted a piece of the story. I ignored most of them. The only one I answered was from Daniel. "She's panicking," he said the moment I picked up. "Her lawyer just reached out again, practically begging to settle." I chuckled, leaning back in my chair. "What's the new offer?" "She's willing to sign a full divorce settlement with zero claim to your assets. No alimony, no fight over property. In exchange, she just wants a statement from you saying you won't pursue any further action against her." I raised an eyebrow. "Further action? You mean the police investigation?" "Exactly." He sighed. "She thinks you're pulling the strings. That you can make this go away. She really believes I still have that kind of control over her life?" I scoffed. "She's finished, Daniel. There's nothing left for her to bargain with." "Then what's your move?" I paused. Jessica had put me through hell. She had betrayed me, humiliated me, tried to ruin me. And now she wanted mercy? The old me, the man who once loved her, might have considered it. But that guy was dead. "Tell them no deal," I said. Daniel didn't argue. "Got it." A few days later, I got a message from an unknown number. "Jessica, please. Just talk to me." I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then, against my better judgment, I replied. "Me. Why?" Seconds later, my phone rang. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity got the best of me. "Adam." Her voice was small, almost unrecognizable. I know I messed up." I leaned against the counter, saying nothing. I need to explain." "You don't owe me an explanation, Jessica." My voice was cold. "You are the people you hurt. The ones you really hurt. She sniffled. I didn't mean for it to get this far. I clenched my jaw. That's where we're different. I did. Silence. Then, a broken whisper. I loved you. I almost laughed. No, Jessica. You loved what I gave you. You loved the safety, the stability. But me? You threw me away. She started crying, but I didn't care. Good luck, Jessica. And then I hung up. Days turned into weeks. The investigation into Jessica's actions deepened. More evidence came out. Turns out, the video I received was just the tip of the iceberg. There were other victims. Other stories. By the time the police finished their case, Jessica wasn't just an unfaithful wife, she was looking at real prison time. Her final act of desperation was trying to flee the state. She didn't get far. I woke up one morning to a headline that made me sit up straight. Local woman arrested at airport, former socialite faces multiple charges. I opened the article. There she was, her mugshot plastered across the screen. Jessica Carter, once the woman I thought I'd spend my life with, was now a cautionary tale. A few months later, the divorce was finalized. Jessica never fought it. Never showed up to court. She was too busy fighting her real battles. When I walked out of that courthouse, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long, long time. Freedom. No more lies. No more manipulation. No more looking over my shoulder. Just me, standing in the sunlight, finally free. I took a deep breath, let the past go, and walked forward. For the first time in years, my future was mine.